Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado Space. It is good to see you. We got a special deep dive one. Our man Dave is going to be joined by Kevin Boettger. He's one of the Embody spatial audio mastering engineers, and we're going to have a good conversation about spatial audio, the Immersive Spatial Audio Production Suite, which is a one-stop shop, and how you can enter your mix, get it judged by people like Mike Miller, Moritz, Braun, Reuben, Cohen, and Gavin, Lurssen. They're a mighty team. And then win some prizes. How do you enter? Go to embody.co/Immersive Mix 2023. We're going to run this contest up to November 20th, and you have a chance to win. We'll announce the winners in early December. And then there's a very cool Black Friday sale, which runs from November 20th to 28th. So how can you beat that? Prizes, your mix heard by incredible judges, learn new technology with this incredible app from Embody, spatial audio, immersive sound. You know that's where it is. It's not even anymore where it's going. It's where it is. So without further ado, join the Master Blaster Dave Pensado and Kevin Boettger and learn everything from Embody.
Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. I'm here at Fab Factory, beautiful studio. We've been having a lot of fun. We'd like to share this with you with my good friend Kevin from Embody and my partner Sam. Kevin's going to teach us all we need to know about immersive audio. Kevin, man, tell us about immersive audio. I've been immersed all of the last week in audio. Please.
The new thing, right?
Please teach me.
Of course. The immersive audio landscape is just, we've seen it kind of constantly growing, whether that's for music purposes. Most recently, we've had the advent of VR and AR, XR experiences. Apple just announced their Vision Pro. We've got TV streaming services that are able to play back immersive experiences.
Really?
Surround sound, but also Dolby Atmos, all different kinds. So there's a need for content to be made in these immersive formats. That's why we're sitting in a beautiful room like this at Fab Factory in their Atmos Studio A, where we're able to not only mix film, but music in a space like this.
To me, and this is just me, it seems like it's not quite spread out throughout the world.
Right.
And so I think it's our responsibility to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
And we got a great team, so let's kill it, man. Let's kill it.
At Embody, we've coupled a bunch of tools together into what we call our spatial audio production suite, which is a panner, which goes on an individual track, a visualizer, which is almost our bird's eye view of all of our individual tracks, and then our virtual studio. And those three things combined really help tackle the challenges that we are going to discuss. There's a couple of challenges as this has grown so much, and I think the music community was the really Kickstarter in that, where there's so many producers and creators and musicians that are now wanting to get their claws in this, and it's tangible. So how do they monitor it? How do they listen to it appropriately? And how do they create it?
Not everybody has the luxury to be in a studio like this,
Yeah,
you know?
It comes down to accessibility and affordability.
Absolutely.
Can I build a space like this? Do I have the actual space?
Good question, Sam.
Can I afford to do that space? Can I afford to even book out a space like this? It's for a lot of people that might not be feasible. Are we trying to, with our Immerse Virtual Studio, our monitoring side of this, are we trying to replace a studio? No, but we're trying to make sure that everybody has the ability to hear what it's going to sound like in those spaces.
A lot of my friends have virtual studios. Bob Horn, Alan Myerson, my hero,
Yes.
and my other hero, Jimmy Douglas. Does that interact in any way as being better than just going out there?
Yeah, let's jump in and we can kind of take a look here, because I think visually that might help us see.
I'm a very visual person.
Yeah, well, all of those studios, you talk about some of those iconic mixers, and we're so blessed to be able to work with mixers like yourself, like Alan, like Jimmy, like the Lurssen Mastering guys, and be able to model their spaces. And when we get into an immersive world, it's not two speakers anymore. So we've got maybe a 714 speaker configuration like Jimmy's room is here. Or we've got a 716 configuration like Alan Myerson's room here. And they're all different speaker angles, and they're all different room treatments. And all of those, the more speakers we have, the more the room comes into the equation. Changing those speaker angles affects how things sound. What speakers are they using? I know Alan's using ATC monitors, Jimmy's using KRKs, the Lurssen guys are using tannoys. And all of those things are a piece to that puzzle.
Let me ask you a neophyte question. Once all these speakers are in place, they're in place. You don't move them.
I hope so.
All 25,000 of them, they're okay.
Yeah, and if they're all time aligned to your listening position.
Oh, that's why they're in place.
Yeah. So if they move even a little bit, even a millimeter, you're starting to get interesting phase alignment between a rear speaker and a side speaker potentially.
And you went over there to take impulse responses of these rooms, or how do you capture a room?
Yeah, that's a part of our process. We've got a binaural dummy head.
Oh, wow.
B&K head and torso model. So it's the whole kind of head and torso picture. And we scan impulses from every speaker. We take discrete measurements as well. So hard measurements and then audio measurements. And that tells us sonically the picture of the space.
I was asked by the guys to do a head. I didn't know it was going to be a dummy head.
We like to think he's pretty smart.
Man, what a team.
His name is Brian. Brian 2.0 because Brian 1.0.
Shout out Brian.
Yeah, shout out Brian. Brian 1.0, as he was moving, his head fell off. So, so Brian 2.0. But we wanted to provide a way for people, that accessibility portion of this. So me at home, how do I mix in these formats?
Great question. That's the question of the day.
Yeah, and by using something like this, like our virtual studio, that's providing anybody the ability to sit in all of these spaces like they're in their specific listening position, in their sweet spot, and to be able to quickly reference multiple places. So I can start a mix. This is typically my process. I'll start a mix in Jimmy's room, especially if it's like a hip hop dance track. I like to start it here, get it grooving, get it feeling. And then maybe when I'm at the final stages of something, I'll switch over to the Lurssen room and see how it's responding in another space. So we can do that A/B, almost like a car test, but from an immersive space here.
So just to make sure I'm keeping up with you, this is a virtual space.
Virtual space, yes. Yeah. So it is, we're listening on headphones, but we're listening through the speaker-based playback through this room. So it's very different than listening to maybe Apple's spatial binaural or Dolby's binaural. That's strictly headphones. This is all based on speaker-based playback. So you're getting the true representation of what you're mixing.
That's some next level stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Being a part of the process is pretty wild. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm sandwiched between two of the best, by the way.
So yeah, we could start and jump in. I've got a Dolby Atmos project here. Everything routed through the Dolby Atmos renderer. We can see we've got a bed and a few objects. And then we have the output of this renderer, the speaker-based output, feeding in to our Immerse Virtual Studio. So we're blessed in this room again to be able to listen in monitors. So we want to make sure, how do we set this up so that we can jump over and everybody can get that speaker-based playback?
Yeah, in other words, you're sending the data to the speakers and to the headphones at the same time.
Exactly.
That's cool.
In this space, yeah. So we're able to do an actual real room to virtual room comparison. And I'd love to maybe get some of our reaction as we do some of that. I think would be great. But yeah, we can dig in and see how our production style, how it changes when, or stays the same, right? When we're working in an immersive format. We have so many speakers now, how we treat reverbs, how we pan things around. So for instance, here on our screen, I've got guitars all here in purple. We've got, and I mean, you know more than anybody, modern production is like synthesizer crazy. We've got 10 different synth layers. We've got 20 guitar layers, and we all try to cram it into 2 speakers. And then vocal harmonies. So we've got a lot of guitar tracks. This is a rock band called Slap Fight from Nashville. Really great guys. Kind of that pop punk, early 2000s era throwback, which is really great, but a lot of guitars. Now that we're in this immersive space, how do we treat those things?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in how you treat these things between genres?
I don't think so. You know, as you switch genres, I think as you listen to some of this content, as you listen to different styles of music, it's always the music that's dictating the decisions you make. Even in this world, that's still the core of it. So even from stereo to this, so what are the values we're after in a hip hop track? We want to make sure the low end's hitting right. We want to make sure if there's synth parts or pads or anything that those are feeling good. We want to make sure that the vocal is present front and center stage. The show.
Yeah, I'm a big vocal guy.
So
I can create the groove that I want from vocals alone.
That's
Boy,
impressive.
we do
yeah.
it, Sam and I, man. We got it. We got it. You got to come. Well, not all you guys. Don't come at once, but yeah, you got to come hear that.
In this world too, we can help create a little bit more separation from our vocals.
Perfect.
So even as we're talking about vocals, we can jump into these vocals here, where I have these positioned, and this is we have this as its own specific object in a wide position. And I actually don't have anything else in that position. So we pulled these off the wall a little bit here for the vocals because I wanted to create a little bit more separation from the guitars.
Gotcha.
And the guitars, we can see here, I have all the way up in the front, left and right. And same with the drums. So I'm pulling those vocals off the wall. I wanted to get them a little closer to you, a little bit more of
in
that
your face, kind of a
aggressive
feeling.
in your face
Right.
feeling, and create a little bit of separation with the guitars and the drums.
So another question. This is going to be the most important question of
Yeah.
the day. So can I take this stuff and put the vocalist here, the guitars here, the bass here, the drum, the snare here?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm gonna put the snare in your face. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta have
loud
snare.
snares.
Yeah.
So you can actually do that in this particular. We're still in the virtual.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dan, this is great.
So we're able to do, this is our panner right here. So we're able to pan things around in this three-dimensional space. And now we're able to monitor it as well. And
Man,
that's
just
been
when I
really
figure something out, you're throwing something else at me. So what are you panning?
we can pan any instrument here. So this is the content creation side of what we do here, of trying to make this world a little bit easier for anybody to, hey, we put this plug-in on, it's a panner, pan it around. in
By the
three
way,
dimensions.
all kidding aside, I think that's one of the most important things is to make it accessible to the public.
Yeah.
Because there's some deep stuff going on here, but you can make it accessible, then
Yeah.
you got it made.
I try to relate it to what FabFilter Pro Q did for parametric EQ. It was right? It was like, oh, we've got this analyzer, this RTA here in this plugin. It's very easy to use. It's colorful. We're kind of trying to make panning the same way in this 3 dimension stuff. You can quickly jump in here and move stuff around. Yeah, Sam.
And so the track can be stereo and mono. It doesn't have to be in the format.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So this is all stereo and mono stems of a project that were done, mixed in stereo first. That's a great question. Thank you for answering that, asking that. So this was all done, we mixed it in stereo, and now we're trying to make it an immersive feeling mix. So from a processing standpoint, that's why you don't see much in terms of saturation, distortion. You see mainly EQ and panning. And then as things move around because of our ear physiology, when I move something behind me, well, it's not driving directly into my ear anymore, so it's going to sound a little bit different. So we might need to EQ that a little bit to make it poke through a little bit, whatever we're trying to accomplish.
Ear what?
Ear physiology.
I got some physiology on this head, man.
Oh, I can see it on the left. I don't know about the right there. I can see it on the right.
I can make it. Yeah, no, I got some physiology for you.
Yeah. If we want to throw on the headphones, we could start to listen to some of this. And we wanted to showcase to everybody too. I've got my Apple AirPod Maxes. We've got our Audeze LCD-Xs and our Audio-Technica M50s, just showcasing.
Yeah, we got the cream of the crop here with headphones.
A good variety of saying, hey, you don't need a special pair of headphones to monitor this. Right. We're just working right here on any pair. So we'll try not to scream, right? Yeah. I'll loop that section for us, and we can start to hear where we're positioning things. So here I have that first guitar. Okay. And I can feel those in front of me. I've got the left side here, and then right now you can see left, and then right there, moving over here to our right side.
Oh, okay. And those little circles are how you control the...
Exactly. So if I...
Is that a volume control?
This is our positioning.
Oh, okay.
So we can feel that start to move to our right, and that's stereo linked, so because it's a stereo stem. So that's what's happening as I move both of those.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And now it's moving over to our left. And I've got this set up to lock to our walls, so lock object to walls. That's why as I moved that, it stayed on the walls, but we can change that.
So you can bring it out from the wall.
Yeah, so if I set up my settings here in my panner plugin, I have it set to mirroring, where I can take this.
Yeah.
And we can start to feel that move around. So now that's behind us. I can feel it moving nice and in
Wow.
front of me.
Yeah.
And then moving it. We can do all sorts of crazy things. We can try, we have to always remember what's authentic to the type of music. This is a rock band, so I'm thinking, are they on stage? Are there 3 guitar players? And they're stationary, maybe they're jumping around, but this is primarily gonna be a stationary item and not something that's moving, just in its authenticity of what it is.
But all those points are automatable.
Yes, yep. You can quickly so I just put every parameter in.
Right, like how you would normally do in Pro Tools.
So I'm just in a touch mode here. So we can see how we're writing automation. And now we can kind of go with those. And dun, 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 dun. We could kind of move it forward here and kind of go. We could try to BPM match it and move it around.
It really is. This is the best thing I've ever heard for moving things around in space.
The main reason for that is because in our monitoring side of our plugin, we have the ability to personalize this listening space with a personalized head-related transfer function, or HRTF.
Oh, good.
So I actually have the 3 of us in here, and Ethan, who works here as well, of our ears, scans of our ears in here and how we hear. And that's why you can really feel that movement from front to back as it happens. As we listen to this, I'll switch over to a drum position that has some height to it here.
Ooh, let me hear some drums.
So this is just an electronic drum, or a filtered drum here on this one. But that's positioned above us, and we can kind of feel that positioned above us here. And I'll play it as it transitions from above us to then, and it's filtered, to in front of us in full resolution, not filtered. So we can.
Is that why we're not getting all the low end now?
Yes, correct. So we're going to feel that transition. So this is something you can see. I split the tracks up here.
Okay.
The drums, I've got portion 1 and portion 2 here. Those are the 2 different sounds. So we'll hear that. That's happening above us here. And then that switches down to our horizontal plane and in front of us. And we get that switch.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Do that again.
Yeah. I unmuted that guitar, so we're just listening to drums here.
Kevin, turn that up, man. Come on, Kevin.
Let's go.
Oh, shit. No, not that much, Kevin. Give me a little less, Kevin. There you go.
Okay.
Damn, that sounds good.
And you can see all I'm really doing on my side for the drums, I've got some EQ happening here. So I'm cutting out a little bit of that low mid energy. Now that there's some things that are not masking those frequencies anymore, I was feeling the snare drum. It was a little thumpy, a little thuddy. So I wanted to try to get rid of some of that. Now that we've cleared some space for these drums to live, the guitars aren't all right on top of it, masking some of those frequencies.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
That's an art form, uncovering frequencies that you've got to learn. You've got to learn that, because if you can't learn that, you're going to be chasing phase all over the place. And a lot of people think that my drums are too loud. Well, yeah, I got them out of the way, and I want them loud.
Yes.
And so practice on that. I think you'll find it very, very, very useful.
Absolutely. And that's, as you're talking about that dimension of, wow, I can really feel that behind me, and I can really feel that in front of me, how much your ears, the way you hear changes from person to person, and even from headphone to headphone. So we're able to, in our software here, we're also able to provide some headphone EQ. Wow. So if I'm listening on my AirPod Maxes, we can jump in and provide some complementary EQ if we're maybe getting too much of a specific frequency, or I'm here and I switch over to my LCD-X's for you, Dave. So we can cater that experience a little bit better for you through it with the personalized HRTF, and we have the specific headphone EQ. So,
and the HRTF takes about I don't know, 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's typically to do them in the past, you'd have to go to an anechoic chamber, get scanned out. It submits it in about 30 seconds to a minute. You'll have your ear image, and we can switch right here. We can toggle. So now we would be listening to Sam's ear image, and we can then switch over to Dave to your ear image right here.
And this, I feel like, separates the products that you're making versus everything else, is because you're personalizing it to the user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all of our, even in this speaker-based room in Fab Factory, all of our experiences sitting in even these different positions, we'll have very different listening experiences in this room when we're listening to an immersive mix. I might hear something a specific way. I might hear a lot of left. Obviously, I'm a little more to the left side. But our ear shape has a lot to do with that, and our head dimension has a lot to do with that. So we're recreating all of those pieces to this puzzle. So kind of in a three-part segment here, we can think of that personalized HRTF, that ear image, the headphone EQ, and then the actual spaces themselves, the recreation of the spaces themselves. And these spaces are tuned by these guys. So we didn't just go to Jimmy's room and then never talk to him again, right? We didn't go to Alan's room and never speak to him again. We're sending them the plugin. We're making sure that when they're in their space and they A/B between the real space, the virtual space, they're feeling confident the decisions that somebody would make in that room reflects what they do in their space.
Just an aside, when I started kind of getting going in audio, Alan Myerson was my hero. I'm so glad that people are seeing him and seeing his work and listening to his work. And there's no other better person on this world than Alan Myerson. So I want to get that in because that's my man.
That's so sweet. It's the more you meet people in this industry, they're just not only amazing, they have amazing work and are talented beyond belief, but they're amazing people too.
Yeah, you might know him from Word Up. That was Alan.
Wow,
that's a bad song.
Man, his Dune soundtrack is like, holy smokes, man! When his mixing is just unreal. It's so good, and to be able to sit where he sits and listen to the way he listens, especially working on film scores things. Each room is catered to their own specific style, right? So if I'm working on a film score, I might start in Alan's room versus Jimmy's room. If I'm working on a pop tune, I might start in Jimmy's room. But I'm able to listen between various spaces.
And can you submit your room to the...
Oh, I wish. It's a manual process we have to do. We're doing more and more as things. So we have a lot coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of math going on back there.
A lot of math. So we're working on a few studios. One of them that I'm so excited about because I'm a Nashvilleian and I worked at this studio. We modeled almost all of the Blackbird studio rooms. They're immersive spaces and they're stereo spaces. So we spent a couple days with John down there in Nashville.
John, I love John.
So I'm really excited about having that package come out, I think in a few months here. We're trying to figure out when exactly we want to do that.
Did you model the room with all the wood on?
Yeah. So they have a Dolby Atmos mix room in there. They also have a Sony 360 mix room in there. And we modeled both of them. So that's going to be a really great kind of package for everybody. And it populates, as soon as it's ready and available, it populates right in everybody's plugin. And then they have the ability to trial it for 14 days. And then from there, they can purchase a specific studio or multiple studios, however they want.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Early on, we talked about all of those different styles of content that there is. There's film scoring, there's composition for TV, there's so many streaming services out there that are all delivering in immersive formats.
Even a lot of games.
Gaming, exactly.
How does Atmos fit in with all of this stuff?
Atmos is the primary main music mixing format. Of course, in cinema as well. You've got Dolby Cinemas, and you've got streaming services like HBO and Disney Plus that are streaming back in Atmos. So if you have a soundbar on your phone, actually, we probably didn't even know if we all have iPhones 12 and up, I think, play back in Atmos. So there's, people are able to hear it in that. So this exactly what we showed, that music workflow that we showed, and let me open that back up here. We're able to tie in our software with Dolby Atmos and allow engineers the ability to listen to the speaker-based playback. If they're not listening to the speaker-based playback, they don't know how their mix is going to translate to cars, which is now a thing. A lot of cars are implementing Dolby Atmos playback. Sound bars, home theaters. We're wanting to make sure that everybody is able to listen to that speaker-based playback, and even if I'm mixing, let's say I work here at Fab Factory all the time, and I'm on the road or I'm out with a band, I'm able to still listen to that speaker-based, even if I'm unfamiliar.
And have your
with my
system pull it up in here.
Exactly. Yeah. So Sam could be prepping a mix for you, mix number 2 in the back. He can be dialing in his mix here with the virtual software.
I don't think Sam wants to hear that.
And then switch over, and you can have maybe 85-90% of the way done, ready to go and move some things around and make adjustments for this space. So the monitoring side of this fits into the equation in a lot of spaces, whether that's the pro mixer that has their space, that has an Atmos space, but currently isn't sitting in that space, whether they're on the road or moving studios, or maybe their studio's down for a specific reason because their air conditioning's not working. And this provides a way for them to listen to that. So.
Yeah, speaking about them, I throw the word spatial around all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue what it is. I know what it does.
Yeah. Spatial audio to me is very much like immersive audio. It is the blanket statement of working in 3 dimensions.
And how does that overlap?
They're kind of interchangeable to me. It's immersive audio, spatial audio, 3D audio, but...
So you're telling me that immersive audio is spatial audio?
Yeah, but part two to that question is Apple's taken really over that spatial audio category and that name. And
so it's similar but with different names.
Yeah, they've kind of taken on that spatial audio as their way to listen on these AirPod Maxes through their binaural engine. So you can listen to anything on an iPhone in spatial audio. That's Apple's room rendering, if you will.
Okay. Does that have a specific name?
Apple Spatial Audio.
Oh,
yep.
good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Apple Spatial Audio is derived from the speaker-based playback. And it's the primary way that the majority of people are digesting Dolby Atmos mixes and immersive mixes is Apple Spatial Audio. So if I don't have a way to listen to that speaker-based playback, I'm excluding the majority of my listener base. And that's really where we see a lot of people utilizing this.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So we've got a mixing score here. This is just a pretty basic score, a couple strings, showcasing how you can utilize all of our plugins to be able to pan some things around as you're creating these specific sounds. So I can play this back here. Got some strings playing back. I can write automation as I'm creating this. So I've got this swirling sound that happens here. And we could feel that in our head.
Wow.
And that really puts you in an environment. And that...
I like that sound. It's soothing.
It could be healing, like on the Calm app as well. So that's what I started with. As we were building this kind of song production here. And then we started with some strings. And then we added another layer here. And with that second layer, those kind of stabs, we positioned that in the rear. So now I've created that space and I'm kind of mocking how it's gonna sound in a cinema, or how, if I'm maybe composing for a Netflix series, how somebody with a home theater setup this might translate. So I'm building and thinking about immersive audio from the composition stage.
You're just showing off, Kevin.
Yeah,
Come on now. You're showing off.
Right.
You're showing off, Sam.
I think so.
No, this is me late night in the hotel. Me late night in the hotel room, going like, I hope this sounds good.
On this particular.
No, it does. It sounds great. I'm
Oh,
teasing.
thank you.
I'm teasing.
On this particular mix, so when you got this session, you started straight away with the strings, or?
Yeah. I started with. I've been really digging I saw Oppenheimer twice, not to brag, in IMAX twice. And I've been loving that score and just that whole movie, the immersion of that movie is incredible. So this is very based on that. So I was like, let me create something. So I started with some interesting sounds and then dove into creating these strings and then positioning them along the way. So these were all expand tracks. So it was nothing fancy here in this. It's all expand, all Pro Tools stock things. So I have this panner that's happening here on all these tracks. We have our visualizer plugin right here that gives us a bird's eye view of everything that's happening in our session. So we can think when we're on an individual track more micro, and when we're here, we can think a little bit more macro, and I can see the dynamic of everything that's happening in my session. So if I come to maybe a part where everything's in here, I can see the balance of left to right. I can see the sides. I can see how much LFE is happening.
Again, yeah.
Oh yeah, you could zoom in a little bit. I can go, ooh, that bass hit that's happening, that's just about, that bass hit that just happens right there. Maybe I want that a little wider. As I'm listening to this more in a macro setting as a whole, well, I can just take this and position it and move it out right here. So it connects to all the panners, and I can use this one tool right here to kind of showcase my whole mix.
And what we're seeing over there, I think so. But what we're seeing over there is exactly where all the sounds are in the 3D space.
Exactly. Yeah. So very similar to even on an Atmos project when you see those dots moving around an object, it's exactly that. And I can see here, you can see, here's my panner on the left, right here. That's that bass hit that we were just messing with. And here's the actual visualizer on the right. So if I move this one, you can see it's moving the panner. So I could write automation from here. We can almost think of it as that mastering step of like, great, I've got everything set. Let me take a bigger look at this project. Yeah. So we're trying to hit all the targets of how does this help music mixers? How does this help content creators? How does it help sound designers? All of the above.
People like us, we enjoy that, but the person coming to it, you know, a young guy just getting out of school, they just want to start.
Yeah, and actually what I can do maybe in a second here, I could set up a project that's just stereo stems, and I can show you how easy it is to actually get started with this. Might be a great thing to showcase.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay,
think
great.
so. Good stuff.
Yeah. Sam, you had a question.
Yeah, so I think going on what Dave is saying here, like, so all of the stereo mixing techniques will still be applicable.
Totally.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
We can still create reverbs the same exact way. So in this, let me open up that music track one more time just to highlight that question. It is a complicated world, and we're moving through this and showcasing all these things, and I don't want that fact to get overlooked of like, oh, how do I get started on this? I know how to work in stereo. How the heck do I do this? Mm-hmm. So as I have that vocal here, I created two effects. I created a slap reverb, oh my gosh, a slap delay with an Echo Boy, as I typically would, about 120 milliseconds here. And
Sounds good. I don't know what it is. It sounds good.
let me get to a chorus here.
Can we forget about the things I said last night?
So you hear some other effects happening, but I have just a traditional slap, and I created that the same way with a send and return. Just a mono send to and then I panned it to a specific place. So I'm utilizing the same technique that you would in an aux send and return, nothing fancy there, but I'm creating something different with it. So you're taking a stereo technique and you're transitioning to an immersive world with that. But also you can kind of expand on that a little bit. You guys got a quick glimpse of that kind of almost swirling vocal effect that was happening. That's just an immersive effect I created where it's 6 delays feeding into each other. So it's delay 1, that's about an 1/8 note feeding into another delay that's positioned. So here's delay 1. Here that's actually a 1/2 note, and that's positioned on the left side. Same with the right side, and I have those feeding into delay number 3 that's positioned on the right side. So I'm creating this effect where it delays as it moves around you, and it creates this swirling effect. And I can change the sends and feed it more drastically into the sides or the rears, or I can maybe just feed it into the front. So you've got this kind of...
Can we forget about the things I said last night?
And you can kind of hear that.
The sound of the vocal changed just slightly. Did you hear that?
It did. It might be that double that's positioned in a different
Oh, that's
place.
probably what it is, yeah.
That came in. So this portion of this song, we've got a bridge that's pretty high energy and a little chaotic. So,
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So here's that. the vocal effect, I started to automate it and increase it to make it, we can kind of hear this, this like moving
yeah.
all around us, right?
Yeah, man, that sounds great. Perfect.
So
perfect. Perfect.
it's-
That's the way to do a delay.
Yeah,
That's the
so
way,
that's
right?
super fun. We're
Yeah,
taking-
I'm taking notes here.
I'm getting angrier and angrier as I sit here.
So you're taking this idea that is derived from a stereo technique, and you're kind of thinking, having these tools helps you think outside the box a little bit. Like, how do I do something unique here? And that it tied in. I was listening to that bridge, and I could play the whole track here so we can hear it. So it picks up an energy. And the lyrics kind of point to this, like I'm losing it. So you're almost doing this, I like to call it sonic onomatopoeia, right? Like where
This is your mix?
yeah, this is a band.
You want to take him or?
I think I can take him. I think I can take him.
This is an indie artist. This artist here, we have an indie artist who's, we don't have a big budget for. We're mixing his tracks. So we're in this dilemma. We want to do an immersive mix. We're falling into the trap that everybody that is watching this is falling under, right? Yeah. How do I mix this in immersive? How do I listen to it appropriately? How do I feel confident in the decisions I'm making? How do I know that those are going to translate when somebody's listening it over Apple Spatial or in their car or in any scenario? So this project was mixed all in IVS software. Wow. Everybody's flow is unique, but we really just want to show here that what you've been learning and the way everybody's been teaching and working is correct. It's right, and we can apply all of those same ideas and techniques to this world. So don't be scared of it. We're here to help. We're here to make things a little bit easier and a little bit more tangible for everybody so we can all experience this and create killer mixes. I think it's important that we're able to create with this stuff in mind. The beginning of this, especially from the music side, mixes were kind of a little lackluster. I don't think anybody really knew how to utilize the space yet. It was either mixes going way too far or mixes maybe not going far enough. And now we're creating tools to allow people to create appropriately and be able to hear the changes they make and feel confident. I know my listener is going to have this experience and a great experience.
Yeah, that's good. Very good.